first of all, I know that there have been many questions regarding asteroids. Um, so I would like to start with those. And there's actually fairly a lot to say. We're going to have spotlights in the future about asteroids, but let me give you a preamble on what asteroids are. Okay, so the whole asteroids game mechanic is an end game mechanic. Okay, that's a very relevant thing to say. It's I mean, of course, it's since Fractured is all about horizontal progression. It's not like that you're not able to access asteroids as a new player. You can join your friends, if they are experienced. But in general, it's not something for newcomers. It's an end game features. And so, what are asteroids? How were they born? Asteroids were born in during the fracture. Okay, so at the same time the three planets were created, a gazillion of asteroids were also created, and some of them are just wandering through the Elysian systems, and sometimes while the planets revolve around the star, they cross them, and get close to them, and the whole mechanic is really like really varied. So there have been many questions like how often do you have we will have like asteroid events, and why would guilds fight for asteroids, and so on and so on. And it's hard to give a precise question because there are really many different kinds of asteroids. So, for example, some of them just pass once and then they are never to be found anymore. Some others, which are like more proper asteroids in the scientific term, in the regular scientific term, they also revolve around the star, and they would pass close to one of the planets or all the three planets at the same time regularly, after every few weeks, every few months. Some of them can actually just do a pass once a year. And by once a year, I mean like real world year. So there's so many differences, and not only in how often they pass close to planets, but also in how they are structured. Okay, some are deprived of life forms, and they're all about resources. Some have actually rich biomes. Some could be as lush as Arboreus itself, and some other could be like desertic, like Tartarus. And the variety of biomes in asteroids is basically unlimited, and the variety of life forms that you can have in asteroids is basically unlimited. Which brings us to the question: how do you get there? Of course, as most of you know, if you follow the game, there is no space travel in Fracture, there are no spaceships, it's a fantasy game, and the way you get there is through events, through rituals, and through other fantasy procedures, okay, of course. And then, which also brings us to the next question, which is, why would you ever go to an asteroid? And why wouldn't you just farm resources in one of the three planets? Well, I mean, it's asteroids are really, each asteroid is really related to a specific theme. Okay, so one asteroid, for example, could be made entirely of metals. Okay, different types of metals. And why would you go there? Well, because there's a very high concentration of iron, of bronze, or many other elements which are kind of hard to come by on two of the three planets, and even where they are more common in Synthesia, they might be under the control of a different guild, for example, or maybe it's hard to get there because they are on in some location on Tartarus, and Tartarus is hell in general, so that makes them very interesting at this point. In some other cases, there could be a very high concentration of a certain family of creatures that you want to hunt for resources. So in general, the main reason why you go there, be it gathering, be it PvE, is resources. Okay, in some cases, a guild could say, no, this asteroid is absolutely of no interest for us. It's all made of iron, and we sit on the biggest iron mine of the planet. So why would we go there? Just to annoy other people, maybe? Yeah, and that's it. Of course, different asteroids also have different rule sets. Okay, so you have the ones where they have the same rule set as Tartarus, and it's like free for all, player versus player, no rules. But you have also some others with a good alignment themselves, where basically it's like going on Arboreus. So technically there can be player versus player, but it's very hard for hostile players to perform aggressive actions against other players. So it really depends, and also the amount of time they are available also varies a lot. They could be available only for a few hours, which makes for a very intense hardcore competitive event, or they could be available for 1 week, and which would make things very relaxed. Okay, and of course it's there's also something a little romantic about asteroids, I would say, in a way, in that if they come back close, if they don't, if they are not the kind that passes once, but that periodically flies close to a planet, then if you go there and if you build something, which you can do, I mean, right? You cannot conquer an asteroid, but you can build something on asteroids. Okay, so basic crafting stations, roads, and so on to help you move resources. There are some things that you can build. Encampments, of course, like you can a mobile encampment. You can build it in when you're venturing on a planet. You can build it on an asteroid, and if the asteroid comes back, you're going to find the same stuff that you built in ruins in the asteroid, but it's going to be still there. And I think, I don't know, from a gameplay perspective, I guess it's not the most relevant thing, but from a, so to say, I think it's quite charming. Okay, the fact that you went there with your guild or with your friends and you built something, and then you go back 6 months later, or maybe 8 months later, maybe 1 year later, and the stuff that you built is still there, and it's of course not usable anymore, and you can just salvage stuff and rebuild again, but it's there's a sign of your passage, because if you build in a if you build your house on a planet and then you abandon your lot of land, somebody else is going to claim it, build something else, it's no longer yours. It will be gone. But if it happens on an asteroid, then actually you're going to find the ruins of what you made, but it's not an ancient civilization made by the developers. That's actually you that made it 1 year ago, which of course means dozens of years in game time. So that's actually a ruin from 50 years ago in game time, and it's you that made it. So that's really cool. And there's also another reason why you would like to go there, actually, and many people would like to go there. As you know, when you have to learn an ability in Fractured, through the knowledge system, you have six abilities, and I mean six tasks to complete. And of course, like if you complete two, you get the spell at level 1, and you can start it and you can use it. But you have to complete other two tasks to get it to level 2, and all the six of them to get it to level 3. And if you level the spell up, or the combat maneuver up, it's going to become slightly more powerful. And some tasks can only be completed in asteroids. So there are some actions that require you to go on a specific type of asteroid, not one specific asteroid, but just a kind. And you would want to go there for that reason. And that also means that getting certain abilities to level 3 is actually going to be very hard, because then if you lose your chance 1 month, then you have to wait another month before you can get your chance to complete that specific task. So there's a lot of gameplay around asteroids, and the very nice thing is that you might think, "Oh, but it's going to take you forever. Like if you have to drop a new asteroid every week or something, or two, and how are you going to do that?" It's like a lot of game design work. We have put a lot of time on procedural generation algorithms. So if we want to create an asteroid which is 4 square kilometers of in size, we can let's say it has a mountain in the center of the asteroid, and it's all like a jungle all around. Of course, it's fantasy, right? It's not scientifically accurate. And if you want to, if we want to make something like that, it takes us 1 hour, okay, and it's going to be gone. Then of course we can spice it up with some manual work from our game designer or game designers if we expand the team in the future. Right now it's only one, so hi Uriel, I will kill you in the next video. And yeah, so basically we're going to be able to do that very very quickly, and that's really cool. So we can really push out a lot of asteroids with completely different biomes and different rule sets and unique hotspots, and it's going to be very fast for us to create them. And that's, I think it's really advantageous in a way. So I hope everything is clear about asteroids. If you have further questions, leave them now in the chat, and I'm going to address them at the very end of this Q&A. So now let's get to the second question. So we're done with asteroids, and let's see. Yeah, so no, I've replied to this one too. Okay, there's been quite a few questions regarding transformations. So transforming into an angel, transforming into an abomination, and transforming into a lich. So let's get a few of those answered too. If we take a divine quest to become an angel, is it possible to go back to demon? The answer is no, and it's no for a couple of reasons. First of all, an angel is a symbol of everything good. Okay, and so if you see an angel in the game, he's good. Okay, he's really good, and he's really like probably an inspiring sight to see. Now of course there's going to be some players who get an angel just for competitive guild versus guild, or for arenas, or for just to try that out, but I'm sure there will be people who make angel characters just to be the hunters of evil, and therefore that's why we are not allowing you to go back. And then that's also of course for production resources. I mean, going from a demon to an angel is complex. It takes a while, and there's divine quests to follow, and it's an end game, fairly long process. And if we wanted you to go back from angel to demon, we would have to do the same thing, but all the way back, which means a lot more content for something that almost nobody is likely to want, because if you make that change, I mean, you're making it on purpose, right? You're going through all that pain to become an angel for a reason. Yeah, so let me just mute some notifications here. Okay. So next one, asteroids. Okay, is there a reset of the map at each phase of testing? Please say yes for more exploration content. Now I don't know exactly what this question means. Yeah, there's going to be a server wipe after every testing phase. But I guess the question means if we're going to generate a new world or regenerate the planet after each testing phase, and of course the answer is negative. We cannot regenerate the 3 planets after every testing phase, but we can expand them or shrink them if they were too big and people could not meet up. Then we're going to make them smaller. If there's not enough space, then we're going to make them larger. Procedural generation allows us to do that fairly easily, but yeah, not to regenerate a whole world in full. That wouldn't make any sense. So any further info you want to share about liches? What are the advantages, disadvantages compared to staying in human form? I've already mentioned a few, so let's get some of the others replied. So a few other characteristics of the liches. So let me check out the documents. First of all, one thing, so I've already mentioned, I think, the resistance to cold, and the being more vulnerable to fire. There is an immunity to poison, from what I can see. Yeah, affinity towards necromancy and abjuration, schools of magic, which I already mentioned. There's going to be differences in the talent tree for liches. They have some boost to regenerations. They get resistance to mental attacks. They get some stat changes, so they lose constitution because, of course, they are fragile. They gain intelligence because they are very, very smart. And they also lose charisma, which is fairly obvious. I mean, probably, it's not very, an undead is typically not very charming, unless you have a thing for undead specifically, which is fine. I'm not judging. And yeah, so for example, there's some mechanics we are considering, like the fact that there are some abilities that do increased damage against undeads, or that only deal damage to undead creatures, and we're going to allow you to we could make those spells have the same effect on liches. Of course, this is all like game balancing, and game balancing comes last. So there's some decisions that we're going to have to take in the last minute. But yeah, you see, it's like every race, every racial evolution. There are a lot of differences, and it's not like playing with a human. It's very distinctive to play as a lich. Typically, you want to play a mage character, or anyway some sort of spellcaster, not a fighter as a lich, of course. But there's like a million of possibilities. You can build your lich, and a ton of big differences between a lich, a human, an angel, a beastman, and so on. Then other question: do we get from Kralit? Hi, Kralit. Do we get some more lore about the planets and so on? If we hire a content writer, well, we will try. I mean, I would like to. I mean, I also have personally what the lore that you've managed to read so far, which is very little. I know I've written that, and I would like to expand on that, but I don't have much time, and our game designer doesn't have much time right now. So if we hire a writer, then we're going to be able to expand, of course. If not, maybe not, no more lore. So yeah, I'm sorry, but lore is not the most relevant part of Fractured, I would say, in general. Rofus is asking, what abilities does your character have right after character creation? So the way this works is that you choose a background for your character. It's not like a real RPG thing. It's more like a nicer way to give you a predefined set of abilities. So if you say that you're the apprentice of an elementalist, then you're going to have a set of 4 or 6 abilities that are related to the invocation school of magic, mostly, so to say. And if you say you're a squire, then you're going to have some knight-like abilities, as I said, 4 or 6, and so on. Like you have a dozen possibilities to choose from, and you get these different starting abilities. Again, it won't influence the development of your character. It's just to give you a mix of abilities that work well together to get you started more easily. Another very interesting question on the races is what kind of unique racial abilities do beastmen have? And Frequency Zero is also asking, do you plan on implementing unique racial active, passive abilities, or perhaps race-specific nodes in the knowledge tree and so on? So as I've mentioned, if you transform your character, you change race, you have some differences in the talent tree. So that's already something relevant, and you do have some abilities that are unique to your race, to your subrace, or to your racial evolution, and some abilities are like always available in your ability menu, and you're able to select them when you do a resting phase. It's like you know them already by default. Some others actually can be used uh, um, beyond the standard 8 abilities that you have in your hotbar. For example, the transform, the primal form. Somebody asked this question specifically on the forums. The primal form, you get a button which is outside of your of the standard 8 abilities, and you can transform to your primal form and go back, without having to consume one slot for that reason. Okay, and of course, I mean, when it comes to passive abilities, there are a lot of differences there between different races and sub races. You already know, for example, about the Shadow Demon getting Shadow Demon also getting advantages when it comes to stealthing and hiding, and the Blood Demon getting advantages in the night, and because it's basically a vampire, and so on. So there are many passive mechanics, of course, like every sub-race has its own one or two distinctive passive abilities. Of course, when it comes to specifically the transformation, which somebody asked, like a primal form of Beastman, it's something that we actually still haven't decided. Okay, so it's so the current idea that we have, but we might change it, is that basically you can fill 2 bars if you are Beastman, and if you, well, first of all, I mean, your the ability to transform, you need to unlock it. It takes a little to unlock it. You don't have it from day one. And when you unlock it, you're able to basically, when you take a resting phase, you have your regular hotbar with 8 spells, and then you have a secondary hotbar which has 4 predefined abilities and other 4 that you can select and that you can memorize. And when you switch, it also switches your hotbar. That's our current idea. We might change it. Again, this is game balancing, and we still have to figure out what the people like the most, what works the best. It's in the end, it's probably it's likely to change multiple times during alpha and beta testing, because there's going to be a lot of feedback about balancing and a lot of potential changes. Next, okay, is the streaming working fine? Yeah. Next question. Stats. Will we get more diverse stats, luck, wisdom, spirit? Not planned as of today. This is, I mean, consider that the current 6 stats already have like a massive impact. Okay, it's not like if you put 1 point in strength, it increases your melee damage and that's it. Like if you go back to the spotlights, you will see that each statistic has many different effects on your character, combat related and not combat related, and the whole game is being built and balanced around those 6 statistics. So adding wisdom out of the blue would completely throw the game off balance, and it would be like insane. So very likely not. Will you have PvP arenas, actual arenas on the map, not instance? Yes, absolutely. We're going to have arenas, and as a matter of fact, in the first testing phases, arenas are going to be very important for to test out PvP, because we're going to have some special rule sets, and so it's very well possible that you're not going to have open PvP in Syndesia in the first testing phase, or in the first and the second, because we need to let people test the crafting and so on. So arenas are going to be very important to test out how PvP works, if it's fun or not, and what should be improved. So yes, arenas are important. Respawning of trees. I guess this is somehow related to planets. So will it take long or not? It's going to take longer than in many other MMOs. Okay, you're not going to have the tree respawn in like 5 minutes, more like in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. So yes, it takes a while for trees to respawn, and then you have to be, think about it when you gather them. And of course, like as it's one of the core principles of Fractured: no grind. You don't stay in the same place and repeat the same action over and over. You deplete the forest, you have to find a new forest, and it's going to take a while, a long while, for the old forest to grow again. Also, trees have different stages of growth. So when it spawns, it's a sapling and it's really small, and you cannot do anything with it. Then it grows and becomes a younger tree, and when it's a young tree, you can just harvest branches. And once it's fully grown, then you can chop it down and actually get the trunk that you need for most of woodworks. So you have to wait for the tree to grow, which makes it even longer. Mm, Grofar is asking, is there anything special for characters dedicated to neutrality and neutral evolution? Some sort of champion of the neutral order. This is not planned as of today. A neutral characters means that you can do basically what you want. Okay, you can help someone good, you can kill someone good, you can be a nice guy or a very bad guy, and I don't know. We don't feel like there would be much value in a racial evolution that is connected to neutrality. I mean, Lich is neutral, and that means it it just carries the same karma and alignment of the human character before death and resurrection. So in that way, it's neutral, but it's not a, the a race consecrated to neutrality like Abomination are to evil and angels are uh, to good. It's more free, like humans are. Sinao is asking, how much does your subrace affect the type of abomination angel you become? A lot. I've just said it. The Your race affects your original character a lot, and with different passive abilities, active abilities, affinity to a certain statistic, and so on and so on. And if you're like a Hellfire demon and you become an angel, that's going to be very different from a Shadow demon who becomes an angel. Love Child Bell is asking, is there the possibility of adding other planets? Or is it something that's too early to think about doing? Definitely too early. It's like for stats. The whole game is designed around these three planets: Synthesia, Arboreus, and Tartarus, humans, beastmen, demons. Um, Making a new planet would, a new planet is like a good matter for a future expansion after full release. So 1 year after full release, a new planet, oh, a boatload of content. I was going to say something less polite, and I had to go for boatload. So yeah, it's really something huge, a new planet. But you get asteroids, which I've talked about in the beginning of the Q&A. In a way, asteroids are like planets, right? They're like very small planets. In terms of content knowledge for a completionist, how often will a beastman need to go to Tartarus and vice versa? For a demon, go to Arboreus. Well, of course, like in general, um, the fact that all abilities they have 6 tasks and it's enough to complete 2 means that you're going to be able to learn a lot of abilities in your own planet. Okay, you won't be able to level them up maybe, but most of them, but you will be able to learn most of them. And so in the end, you can really enjoy the game as you're a PvE player. You can stay on Arboreus, you're going to be totally fine. Now the question was specifically about completionists. Well, if you're a completionist and your aim is, okay, I'm going to learn every ability in the game and I'm going to get every ability to level 3, you have to travel a lot to the other planets. Yes, you do. You do. I mean, If you're a completionist, yes, you have to travel a lot. If you're not a completionist, no, you don't have to. Menino de Uro is asking, what would happen to the world of humans if the demons completely conquered humans in the eclipse? Demons cannot conquer during an eclipse. You know, they can only raid human towns, not conquer them permanently. That's a human business. So nothing. Gabriel is asking, the races will be enemies. I play a game that I enjoy a lot, and I like to play another. And the races are enemies, and they have completely different skills and gameplay. I've seen this question pop up many, many times in like on Facebook or on the forums. Um, Races in Fractured are not enemies. Okay, they have alignments. Like demons are evil, beastmen are good, humans are neutral. They can choose. And the thing is, the real competition is between different. The real rivalry or hatred, and I always mean in-game hatred, of course, is between different alignments. So demons are kind of the enemy of everybody because they're evil, and beastmen are kind of the friends of everybody uh, because they're good, and you know that's the way it's going to play out. And of course, beastmen and demons hate each other because they are totally at the opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's that's the way it goes, but it's not a Fractured is not a faction based game. Silvos is asking, will races be able to communicate and interact freely, or will there be a WoW style language barrier? No, no, you can understand what other people write in the chat. It's it will be for us that would be just an annoyance. That I mean, it looks nice and very role play-ish if whatever other people write becomes gibberish, but it's annoying. It doesn't really have any advantage in terms of gameplay. Could you expand a little on those crystals that are found on Arboreus? What are they and what do they do? So crystals are mostly used for one thing, and it's enchanting weapons and armor. So if you try to enchant, so do some kind of regular enchantments, you don't need the power of crystals. But for the more powerful types of enchantments, difficult word, you're going to need those crystals. That's the biggest way they're used. And yeah, um, that's it for the crystals. Then we're very close to the end actually. After undergoing a transformation, we will have access to a second character creation to edit our appearance and stats, or will the transformation just set the appearance to a default skin? No, so regarding stat distribution, you don't get to remake that. You get some points gained in some stats, and some other points taken away from other stats. Um, and that's like standard. Okay, what you can do is, yes, you can recreate your character. In fact, what is the way it's going to work is that you're going to be disconnect. You get disconnected um, when you complete your ritual, and you find in your character menu a new character born that you never used, which is the same character as before, just turned into the new race, and you can configure that character as new when it comes to the look of the character. Okay, so yes, you can reshape it. So if you had like a blonde human character, you won't get like a lich with the three blonde hair. You can kind of redesign the looks of your lich the way you like the most. Sinao is asking again, are the divine quests for transformation tied to a single god or an alignment? So far, yes. Each transformation is tied to a single god. Angels are tied to Tyros, as you are suggesting. Yes, they are for now. Of course, again, this is like balancing. If we want to change it, we can change it. So far, that's how it is. Um, Go for it. About Beastman metamorph ability. Okay, I've already replied to that one, and yeah, okay, done. We're done already. It's been quite fast. As I said, not so many questions, and this time I had them prepared earlier, so I assume I was faster than usual. And also more excited than usual because we completed our Kickstarter, and I haven't thanked you in this Q&A yet, so thank you very much. It's been a fantastic day. It's been an awesome day. I think that Spectre has actually gathered quite a few questions from the chat. Yeah, there's a few. There's actually quite a lot. So let's go through those. And before that, however, let me go get the usual midstream water. You know that? Very important. I'll be right back. All right, all right, all right. Let's get the questions going. Let's see. So we got a question from Target. No, this one I don't know. Temujin Khan. Can we influence a starter town with NPCs? Like get a higher rank or something? Not planned so far. Starter towns are really starter towns. Like it's the place where you're going to, move your first steps and then and then that's it. It's not a it's not a starter towns are not places that you're going to visit very often after you've started playing the game. So there's no use to get a whole system like that. Are relationships going to be a thing? Yeah, this question, well, not planned so far, to be honest. I know that many people like, the idea to marry someone else in game. It's something that if there's a lot of requests, we're certainly going to do that, something like that. But it's not definitely not a core feature of the game. Danielle is asking, will the Lich have phylactery? Maybe something allowing you to avoid death in certain circumstances, or a sort of contingency spell of resurrection. Yeah, so one of the Lich mechanics that we are considering is the possibility for Liches to collect the souls of fallen enemies, sort of like a passive abilities that is always active, that you do when you kill a creature. And if you have collected enough, then you're going to have that ability, that passive ability is going to become active and allow you to consume all the souls to immediately resurrect yourself if you've been killed without the need to be helped by another player. So very nice question that you got there, and very nice prediction from you, Daniele. Buff to cold spells, I've already replied. Buff to cold spells, I honestly really don't know. They have resistance to poison and resistance to cold. Buff to cold spells and poison spells, I don't know. Not planned for the moment. Will the Lich be able to control undead NPCs? Well, there are some abilities that allow you to do that, and already, like necromantic abilities, and the Lich is particularly strong in casting those spells. So to the point that they can have additional effect if cast by a Lich. So of course I expect Lich characters to use a lot of necromancy. But I mean, you can have a Lich character that doesn't use necromancy at all, and actually is a healer because why not? Is the cooldown of switching between Beastman from form high? I don't know. That's a balancing question. It's no, it's not a very long cooldown. For now, it's like what was it like 15 seconds or so? I think that's what it is now, but could change during testing. That's game balancing. Um, will all backers have access to the dev forums? not till alpha or anything ahead of times. No, there are some things that we would like to implement ahead of time, Greenfire. Developer forums is one of them. The titles on the forums, the badges, some things we would like to get done before the alpha. Of course, game development is the priority, but and even implementing something like the access to the automatic access to the private forum and blah 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 requires a little of coding, so we will not prioritize that. But if we can, yeah, we will try to give you as many rewards as possible before the alpha testing begins. What the developer forums would be, what backers can expect from this kind of forum. We can give you some insights on development, sharing some private videos of the work we're doing, having more direct communication with you guys. So, my time is personally very limited at this point. You see that I'm not posting so much on the forums anymore. Like in the early days of Fractured, I used to be able to, like post every day. That was like my morning routine. I would sit down in the office at my desk and be like, okay, first thing, reply on the forums. If I did that now, I would start at 10 a.m. and finish at 3 p.m. Absolutely unsustainable. I need to take care of the company and so on. But what I will do is pay a particular attention to those forums, for example. So you will see me posting there way more often than in the rest of the forums. Okay, and if I have some time to dedicate, I will dedicate it to that forum first as a token of appreciation to uh, you, our backers, and then of course I will try to dedicate some time to the rest of the forums too. But perhaps in the rest of the forums is going to be the community manager posting more and developers less. Any chance of adding anything to the immortal tier, such as a pet skin, to make it a little more unique? Well, right now it's not planned. We will see if we can add something to it later on. Like if we add something to the pack later on, when we move it to the website, we will retroactively give it to all the people who bought it on Kickstarter, of course. So it's let's see if there is some request for it, we'll consider doing it. Daniele, there's an image you have posted where there seems to be a Udoadra receiving a spear from another beastman. Is that a Lion King? Will there be a playable race? So so that's an illustration. Lion King is not planned as of today, but we are very likely to add more sub races of Beastmen in the future, most likely after full release as expansions. And lions are definitely one of the priorities, of course, and more peculiar ones like crocodiles, for example. We have some game design done for those too. Wouldn't you love to play like a crocodile? Because I would totally. Will some skill completion objectives be located only in non-PvP areas of Arboreus? Um, it's a tough question. What we're likely to do is we're going to replicate those objectives in the PvP areas and in the non-PvP areas so that anyone can do them, but the players who want to do them safe can do them in the safe areas. So that's the way we're going to roll. So technically, if you're an evil character, you should be able to learn everything. Anyway, and Greenfire is asking, are there other divine quests not related to transformation for endgame? Yes, there are. In fact, divine quests are a way that you gain the favor of a god, and if you gain the favor of a god, you can pray and get the bonuses, from that god. Um, which might include active abilities as well that become available to you if you reach a very high standing with and level of favor from that god. and that's what divine quests are for. So yes, they do exist outside of transformation, and they are fairly important. MMO.it, hi guys, thank you for the support during the campaign. Have you played Star Wars Galaxies? A little, a little. I was fairly young when Star Wars Galaxies was out, and I was more an Ultima Online guy than an SWG guy, but I did. Housing reminds me of that game. Yeah, housing, more than housing, I would say uh, the whole political system, the governor system is a bit reminiscent of Star Wars Galaxies, and I'd say the inspiration didn't really come from there directly, but somehow it came out quite close to the mayors of Star Wars Galaxies. I know it's more by chance, but it is true. Um, will angels and abominations and liches have special auras? Cool looking particles. Yeah, yeah, they will have. They will be awesome. Graphically awesome. Like you might want them just because of how good they look. Okay, so that's it for now, from what I can see. Spectre is adding something, but I don't know if there's anything more at this point. Um, get a bird beastman with the ability to fly and the winged demon counterpart. In fact, we have considered to give demons and angels the possibility to actually take long leaps, so to say, to be able to pass some obstacles by actually lifting from the ground. We haven't actually developed that yet. It's something we're still considering because it's very delicate in terms of balancing and animations and game mechanics and so on. So we'll see. We'll see. It's possible. I won't guarantee anything for now. Will Abomination Liches and Demons have special crafted abilities just for them? Oh, specially crafted items just for them, sorry. Not planned so far, no. And I guess we are quite we're quite done with the questions. It's been a fairly quick Q&A, about 1 hour, and I'm glad it's been quite smooth. I think besides the initial classical technical issues, it's been it's been really good. It's been really good Q&A. I expected a few more people actually, but hey, whatever. We just won our Kickstarter campaign. I mean, it's we made it. We made it. It's been so tense. The whole Kickstarter campaign has been really tense, and this last few days even more. Always on the edge, always waiting for the goal to be reached, and finally we made it. And it's really I was also almost well, not almost, like I was actually moved when we hit that goal, and yeah, it's been a rough and hard journey, but it's it's just awesome that all the support that we've received from you, and 825 backers, uh, increasing like really fast. Like yesterday we were 740, now we almost like 100 more. I expect that by the end of the day, in the US, we will have gotten like 100 more backers just in one day, and I expect more, the same in the last in the hours that remain, and it's really cool. It's really cool. So Spectre just posted another question: is there a speech skill system, or a bear can understand a lich or an angel? I replied during the spotlight: you can understand what other people write, what are players from other races write. So yeah, it's fantastic. Now I guess it's time to complete the Q&A, since I have a few updates to post, specifically one on the Kickstarter page which I haven't posted yet, and I'm going to do that right after this Q&A is over. So thank you very much for being here. We are going to have another Q&A tomorrow at the same time, which means in 23 hours from now, there's going to be another Q&A. There haven't been so many questions. It's about housing. It's about player run towns. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that you actually have from those. So you know, if you want to, don't forget to check that out and to leave your questions there. And tomorrow we can have another glorious Q&A, and let's see, maybe have as many as 50 people connected during the live stream. New goal. Okay, and let's keep fighting for those stretch goals. Thank you all for the compliments in the Q&A. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your day, enjoy your night, according to what time is it, where you live, and see you tomorrow, 23 hours from now, for the next Q&A on housing and play around towns. See you. Bye bye.